There was a lot of hoopla in New York City last week. And no, it was not because we found out the Tsarnaev brothers had Times Square on their target list. It was all about the 2013 NFL Draft. I just have to tell you, this has become one really big event with its own red carpet for these potential draftees coming out of college. Here in our PJTV Next Generation headquarters in LA, one of the stations was glued to ESPN. And as I sat last week in LAX airport awaiting my US Air flight to Charlotte, I looked over into the sports bar and saw countless people fixated on the event. And as always, it gave me a subject for which I pondered and now address. I am quite sure you all remember the days of pickup ball growing up. Back on the inner city streets of Atlanta, where I grew up, there was someone who called game, and they became the de facto captain. It was their job to then select their team against either the winner of the last game or, at the beginning, the other person calling game. Oftentimes, the best person was the first on deck to select teams. The selection process was all about skills, talent, and ability. For the most part, everyone's reputations were known, and the best players would get picked in the early rounds. Those who were not selected and decided to stick around waited patiently and would practice to demonstrate their spot skill improvement. See, I sometimes wonder what the NFL draft would look like if it were run by social egalitarians, or what pickup basketball would have looked like on the playground if team captains were told to choose their players based upon fairness or fair share or some other misconceived idea of social inequality. See, I knew growing up I was not tall. So if the fellow picking his team wanted trees, and that meant tall guys, well, I was not going to get picked. However, if the person picking wanted someone with good ball handling skills, great passing ability, and a decent shot, well, then I was in. But see, there was no complaining. Hence, this is what we saw in the NFL draft. The free markets dictated the needs and drove the selection. Now, imagine if Roger Goodell was there telling the team general managers, nope, you cannot have that guy. You can only have 3 guys over 6'5". And look at how the draft is done. The team with the worst record from the previous season gets the highest draft choices. See, that is how the free market levels the playing field. Not by an arbitrary bureaucrat, but by merit. Compassion by offering a hand up, not a handout. I also consider the hypocrisy of a culture that now believes that everyone should get to play. Everyone should get a trophy. And there are times when we don't even keep the score. However, I began to think about how many of those individuals there in the audience at Radio City Music Hall, dressed in their favorite team uniforms, knew who their senator, congressional representative, or their local elected official was. See, most everyone there could probably tell you all the pertinent stats on the top draft picks, but how many do the same due diligence when it comes to drafting the most important team, Team America? I believe that in my 2.5 years in Afghanistan, I watched that movie at least 9 times. What a hoot. See, what is amazing is that Americans love a winner, as George C. Scott stated in his Oscar-winning performance as General George Patton in that famed opening speech. And if we want our sports teams to win, why would we not want Team America to win? And in order for Team America to win, we need to draft the best, which I would offer is not the case. See, I stated earlier about the ones who did not get picked, but still wanted to be in the arena. How about those who never got picked? Matter of fact, did not even try, but became the hecklers who mocked those who entered the arena. They end up being those of whom Teddy Roosevelt described. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes up short again and again, but there is no effort without error or shortcoming, but who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself for a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. Team America finds itself in such a dire situation because too many of those cold and timid souls find themselves being picked to lead, commentate, and drive the direction of our culture. We are finding more of these professional hecklers in the media, entertainment industry, and in our classrooms, and in political office. Some still hold an animus because they were never picked. Therefore, they mandate orienting our country based upon failed collective ideas of social justice, shared sacrifice, economic equality, and even believe, as the Attorney General recently stated, American citizenship is a civil right. Every 2 years in November, we hold national drafts for Team America. And if the next generation is to have a winning team, a strong, vibrant, and economically secure America, we must do better in our draft choices. We must know the draftee stats and not just fall for PR-driven, marketed, empty slogans. Remember Todd Marinovich and Ryan Leaf? Ask yourself, if you were in charge, who would you want on your team?